Figure skating from White Ring, but next, the four-man bobs. America hasn't won a bobsled medal since 1956, and Brian Shimer is out to change that. Gus Johnson and John Morgan had the call at Spiral when we come back on CBS.
To a decade, he's been haunted by Olympic failure. A disappointing day for Brian Shimer and Herschel Walker.
I had higher expectations, there's no doubt, coming into this race.
Brian Shimer has been disqualified because his runners failed to meet the temperature criteria.
There's not a shred of legitimate medical evidence to support an accusation I have cheated, because I have not done so.
I hate to say it now, but they're going to be lucky to be in the top 12 after this feat of bobsledding.
But there's still a chance for the Florida native. One more shot at Olympic glory. From Spiral Course on Mount Izuno-Kogen, a cold, wet, and ugly day as we start the four-man competition. Hi, everybody. I'm Gus Johnson along with John Morgan. And for the American Brian Shimer, the disappointment continued in the two-man. He placed 10th. And going into the four-man, is there a chance for him to rebound?
Well, the secret for the United States is to have the best start times on top of the track. They own the start competition record before this race. They own the track record before this race. They won on this track last year in the pre-Olympic test. And yes, the United States is definitely a favorite in the competition. Also, a lot of problems here in the start. They have to get in and get down settled before this first corner. And right away, a mistake by Olsen. He got his feet caught. 483, and there's the mistake. Buried, gone. Forget his time. That is a mistake. The driver got his feet caught, and that caused him to get in the sled late, and he couldn't get a hold of those ropes. And the first mistake on the first sled in the first 60 meters.
Brits haven't won a medal since 1964. They're rebuilding the program.
You know, the good thing is for Sean Olsen, he had a start record of 483, but he threw that out the window with that mistake, and he's in a skid there. 81.2. Boy, we're going to see some speeds today. This might break the old track record even with that mistake. A lot of looping, and I'm sure his concentration is thrown way out.
And a 52.77 for the team of Olsen, Ward, Rumboldt, and Atwood from Great Britain.
Only 600ths off the track record. We're going to have a fast track out here today, even with that mistake.
Up next, the Americans, and Brian Shimer, for close to a decade, has been carrying U.S. bobsledding on his broad shoulders, but the Olympic gold medal or an Olympic medal has always eluded him.
Never had the type of result at any Olympics that was what I call respectable. 7th place with Herschel Walker at the 92 games, but this is time to put up or shut up for these four.
Along with Nathan Minton, Randy Jones, and Garrett Hines is the brakeman. Brian Shimer, disappointing 10th in the two-man.
British just came down with a spectacular start time of 4.83. There's the United States with a 4.83, but the United States has been beating that British team by 3/400ths of heat for the whole season. So you got to say the British were a little better than the United States. But of course, the British had some problems entering the sled. Next clock, that's the reflection of the British having problems getting in the sled.
Shimer took a first and a second in 2 four-man races here at Nagano in World Cup competition.
He had superior start times than everybody else last year. -10 at the last clock. Should be above that if he's got a good heat going. He's a little late there, 80.6, not the same speed as the British.
And a skid.
Big time skid. He's lost that whole lead. He'd be lucky to be anywhere near the British now here at the bottom. Boy, driving errors down below for Brian Shimer.
A 52.93 plus 16 for Shimer. And he is in 2nd place behind the #1 Great Britain team.
Well, the start, look at the back end of the sled come up. Look at the runners coming off the ice. We saw these same mistakes made by the U.S. team in the two-man. Too pumped up here. I think that cost them a few hundredths up here. Watch the way they enter the sled. They do get down quickly with cat-like movements, but Brian must have made some driving errors up top, because all of a sudden that -10 was even. Look at the runner tips here. This is just a major mistake by an experienced driver. Those runner tips shouldn't steer more than just a fraction. and they were almost turned at the maximum. Bad mistake by USA 1 Brian Shimer.
So despite a good start, hazards in the middle of the course for Brian Shimer and his team, and he's in second place currently. And as you can see, driving a bobsled is tricky. It takes a lot of subtle skill.
You constantly hear me talk about steering a bobsled, and you probably think under the cowling here, it's a steering wheel. It's not. It's a simple little rope mechanism that's been around for 4 or 5 decades. And you know, and it's very, very finesse type steering, gets you down the track. A little bit left gets you on left. A little bit right takes you off the corner right. The guys that steer too much will be guys going like this, and you'll see them going up and down on the corners. Big misconception in the sport of bobsledding. It's not the guy who drives the most that wins. It's the guy who drives the least.
Christian Reich from Switzerland, the number 2 team.
Watch how quickly these guys get down. Very meticulous start, 492. Way off Shimer's time, but I got to believe the way Reich's been driving this track that he's going to have superior speed and probably a better finish, even with that deficient start time.
Initially had a good world championship run. Won the silver medal, but then the Swiss were disqualified for having illegal axles.
That's a controversy that the Swiss want to put behind them and answer all their critics with the medals here. +3 to +5. Gave a little time back. Speed we're looking for is anything around 81 miles an hour is what the British had. He's got that. +7. Still bleeding some time back. Bang out of 12. That's not that bad a bang. So +8. Probably going to be about a +5 or a +6 here at the finish. Probably be ahead of Brian Shimer in the U.S.
52.88, a +11, and he is ahead of Shimer. In second place for the Swiss team of Reich, Otterhube, Hanshin, and Gran. Just a quagmire out here at Izuna-Kogan, but right now the Brits lead the Swiss, followed by American Brian Shimer. The standings in the 4-man competition, currently Great Britain, followed by the Swiss and the Americans. The German number 1 team, Harold Schodai, is the driver. Torsten Voss, Stefan Gormer, and Alexander Zeeland.
Not as good a starting team as the United States or the British with the 483. They can't get down. They can't get down. 495. I tell you, the start track up there, I call the graveyard down below, and he's in a skid there. The graveyard's up there in the first 100 meters of the track, and I've never seen anything like that, Gus. That's what makes this track so challenging.
His first Olympics for Shodai, a nightmare. He was exposed as a Stasi informer, which is the military police in East Germany. And he was exposed for telling on his East German teammates.
Yeah, but he came back with a vengeance in the 94 games, capturing the gold medal. He's a defending gold medal champion, 81 miles an hour, all sorts of problems in the graveyard. He had more problems than anybody else. Clean there. This is not a good heat for the defending gold medalist from Lillehammer at all. It's going to be about 3,500 off the pace.
And a 53.12, 3,500 off the pace. And he is in fourth.
Well, here goes the start. I talk about how crucial it is to get in, sit down, because this corner coming up here, if you aren't sitting down, the sled's going to go in there with a lot of friction and cause you loss of time at the bottom. Look at the number 3 man here. Watch what happens to him. His feet can't get him in. We've seen 4 sleds go down, 2 of them with serious problems at the start. I think this is the bigger graveyard up top here. You got to be settled way before that. Now, watch this over here on this side. This is where his problem. Bang there. Now watch. That's where his problem starts into curve 11. Now watch here out of the curve 11. He has to go high. He's in here late. Now he's over on this wall again. Now watch this. This mistake keeps multiplying all the way down. He's got to go through to curve 12 and 13, and he never catches up. Mistake goes for 150 yards in about 30 hundredths of time.
Shodai looking for the first Olympic 4-man repeat since East German legend Meinhard Niemer did it in 1976 and 1980, but not a good start for the German. There's Christoph Langen, bobsledding's version of a gym rat. For him, it's sliding or nothing else. He recorded a bronze in the 2-man in '92, a bronze this year in the 2-man, and this is where life begins and ends in his treasured workshop where the sleds are his babies.
We had been working for days. On one night at around midnight, everybody was feeling down. And then Mukel came to me. And so the name was born. Four-man is bigger, and so it's called Mukel. The two-man is smaller, and so it's called Baby Mukel.
When he's not with his sleds, the former decathlete is making sure he's in tip-top shape, especially after a series of injuries ended his season last year. At age 35, recovery hasn't been that easy. As long as he stays injury-free, Langen will work on his weaknesses. By the way, what are they?
I have none.
Don't let that lighthearted laugh fool you. This 15-hour day is typical for the single-minded bobsledder who is leaving nothing to chance. And the bronze medalist in the two-man. And the four-man representing the number 2 team for Germany, Christoph Langen, along with Marcus Zimmermann, Marco Jacobs, and Olaf Hampel.
Big guys. Changed his crew up this week. Replaced Kai Kohler with Marco Jacobs. 2 big guys in the front or in the back. Watch their cat-like movement. 6'4" guy getting in the sled right there. Gus down quick. 478. Big time start record. Uh-oh. Wow. On the wrong side of that wall, though. He drifted over there. Next clock's going to tell if that drift's going to cost him. Uh-oh, that drift didn't cost him one bit. -19.
They are rolling at the beginning of this course.
This guy did it in practice all week long on a couple heats. Really blew the rest of the field away. We see something like 25 here. Ooh, -19 to -21. He's starting to give it back. Now at a 10. Up and down at 10. He's got to be clean here in the graveyard. Wrong side with no speed. 80.9. He still should be enough to be our leader,
And
but he's in a skid.
out of the turn.
-17. He's probably going to be our leader, probably down to like 4, 5, 600s lead at the bottom. Boy, he was good up top, though.
A 52.70, first place for Christoph Langen, 700s under.
Great heat, coming 10th, or coming 9th out of the first seed. Look at the start. Langen, one of the biggest, most powerful pushers we have out here. Would have won a gold medal last week, but he made 3 mistakes in his first 70 meters and finished with the bronze. Look at the size of this guy here. He's 6'3", about 215. Think there's any athletes in bobsledding? Look how quickly these guys can get in. These things aren't built for riding. I mean, it's real tough for the guy to get in there. Now at 12, everybody makes mistakes. We're looking for runner tips and sprays late. That bunk hits there. But he still wants to be over here on this wall. Everybody does. Back end comes around. That cost him almost 0.3 of a second at the bottom. He's going to come up. The sled's going to come back down. No choice. When you get in there with that type of skid, Gus, it's going to just cause you problems. You can't steer through there cleanly.
So the bronze medalist in the two-man, Christoph Langen, a great run in the four-man, and he has leaped into first. But weather conditions continue to worsen after the first run. The second run could be in jeopardy.
Well, the rain's coming down so hard, and it's turning to snow. The conditions are abominable, and we're trying to get a fair race in. If we let it run now and it starts to snow, the track will change extremely, and that's what we don't want. So basically, to make a fair race, we're canceling the second heat. We're going to continue tomorrow with the third and fourth heat, and we'll end up with a 3-heat race.
The standings, Brian Shimer of the United States in fourth and close to the medals, but 3 runs instead of 4, and he's not pleased.
To just take away a heat, you know, I've got my bad one behind me. I think we can catch some people, and so I don't care for the decision. I'd rather go 3 more heats.
But for Christoph Langen, the leader after 1 run, he's inching closer to a gold, 2 runs away.
We'll have the final runs in the 4-man competition tomorrow night on Olympic prime time. Special starting time, 7 p.m. Prince Albert is here competing for the 4th time in the Winter Olympics, and the Monaco bobsled team is in 28th place. Prince Albert says he still loves the Olympic experience. After all, he is an IOC member. He just wishes the pillows weren't so hard in the Olympic Village. That's his only complaint. All right, still ahead, more ladies figure skating when we return from Nagano in just a moment.
1956, Art Tyler guided the United States to a bronze medal at the Winter Olympics. It's been 42 years since the U.S. stood on the podium, and these four are determined to end that streak today. For Team USA, all the pressure lies on the shoulders of this man, Brian Shimer, who wants to rescue USA bobsledding from their Olympic drought and also exercise his own Olympic demons. And the standings after one run, Christoph Langen of Germany in first, but Brian Shimer in the United States knocking on the medal door. Hello, everybody. I'm Gus Johnson along with John Morgan, and on the first day of competition, Mother Nature played havoc with the spiral course. Heavy rain forced the cancellation of the second run.
Little history in the making. We're going to have a 3-heat bobsled race, which has never happened in the Olympic Games. There's been 2-heat competitions twice and 4 heats the norm. The conditions yesterday were appalling. I'm surprised they even got through that first heat, Gus.
And traditionally, the Germans do better on the slick tracks. No surprise who's on top right now, Christoph Langen from Germany.
Yeah, the guy with the best start time at the top of the track is the guy with usually has the best chance for the best time at the bottom. Langen with the start record at the top, the finish record at the bottom. He's our leader, and everybody else predicts that he's going to be the gold medalist.
But sitting in fourth place from the United States, Brian Shimer, and 1956 was the last time an American won a medal at the Olympic Games in the 4-man bobsled. He's got an opportunity to break that streak today.
He's definitely within medal range, fourth place, 500ths out of the bronze. He's 1600ths out of the silver. He's got a great chance, but he needs 2 good heats at the top of the track and driving. Yesterday, he made a tremendous driving error in the graveyard section. He's very fortunate to be even in this 4th position.
But fortune had nothing to do with Christoph Langen's first 2 runs. He's the leader.
Yeah, look at the perfect driving skills by the German, who's not known to be a great driver. Here in the graveyard section, he's perfect through 11 out of 12 here. A little bit of a skid, but watch the way the sled hits. It comes straight at us. Runner tips are coming straight. No spray out the runners. He had a solid second run down the track. In 13 here, a great line around a corner that gives you almost 80-mile-an-hour speeds and 4 Gs. The sled's barely going up and down. Showing great driving skills. He's our leader. He's almost arrogant at the top of the track. He could smell the gold medal.
Christoph Langen, already a bronze in the 2-man.
8th place after the end of the first run was Switzerland 1 and Marcel Rohner. Watch these driving skills here in his second descent down the track. Perfect here in the graveyard, the uphill section. Watch this bump here where the sleds go airborne. That's the result of all the rain yesterday. That type of bump right there causes tremendous problems for the pilots in curve 12. Out of curve 12, he's got a skid going. And here in 13, he's got no choice but to go up towards the wood. Now the sled must come down and go back up. Still, Rohner puts himself in great medal position. He's in second.
A heated race developing for the top 3 spots. And a terrific crowd has braved the elements to watch the final day of competition. And they're watching these Olympians compete on one of the most unforgiving courses in the world, Spiral. John Morgan has more.
The most challenging bobsled track built for the last 5 Winter Olympic Games is the one here in Nagano, Japan. They call it Spiral. Vertical drop, length of the track, pretty normal. But here at curve 1, a lot of problems in the 2-man, even more in the 4-man. Straight away here, you got to be right down the middle. Easy access on and off the corners, crucial up here where the speeds are slow. The good line and the bad line. The red line's the bad line, up and down. The green line's the consistent line. Here at 10, you have to be perfect. Into the first part of the graveyard, this is the uphill section that's eaten teams alive. Incline of 15%. No track in the world possesses this. The exit of curve 12 has been impossible to negotiate cleanly. All the teams skid as they enter curve 13. 4 Gs of force. You try and maintain 80 miles an hour speed and rush to the bottom before Spiral eats any more of your Olympic chances.
And up top, Christian Reich in Swiss number 2.
He's one of the 2 big surprises in that leaderboard now. Sean Olsen of Great Britain and Christian Reich, 2nd and 3rd respectively. And this is the biggest heat of his life.
Still feel that way.
Minton also served 4 years as a prison guard at Macon Central State Prison. But don't let this bad boy fool you. When it comes to his daughter, America's flashiest pusher is a pushover.
Like I said, I put a little picture of Taylor in the sled every race. It helps me focus.
And plenty of American fans in attendance focused on seeing the Americans bring home a medal. The last American medal, 1956, when Arthur Tyler did it in Cortina. And Brian Shimer from Naples, Florida, has a chance to end that streak.
483 in the start yesterday. Should have around 490 today. 493. Not bad. Second best start. Wasn't as good as the Germans. Now he needs to be very still driving this sled on top until the Bodine sled can reach maximum speed, and that's where the Bodine sleds really start to operate at that maximum speed part.
Fourth place after one run, a 52.93 in the first run. 92 in Albertville, he placed 7th in the 2-man. 94 in Lillehammer, was disqualified in the 4-man. And he carries USA bobsled on his shoulders.
Yeah, and he's got some graveyard mistakes. Going to be a skid here. No! Whoa, that was some kind of correction there.
He rebounded out of it.
Really, he made some kind of big-time correction. I don't know if he was lucky or...
So here he is at the bottom of the course. Shimer, a 53.42. And he narrowly escapes disaster and hops into a tie for third place.
No matter what, not great driving skills down the track on either one of these runs for Brian Shimer. This is where his problem started. Exit of curve 10 as we come into the graveyard stretch. He's on the wrong side here. He should be in the middle. Now when the sled taps, throws him in the belly of the corner here for curve 11, which starts the uphill section. Usually when you make a mistake at 11, you don't come straight through here in 12. I'm mystified how he came through 12 this straight, Gus.
Good driving for Brian Shimer.
I think there's some lucky charms on that sled in this run.
So Brian Shimer, as you look and watch him, you can tell by his reaction that he's pleased that he dodged another bullet, and he'll get one more chance at Spiral Course. And one of the biggest surprises so far in the 4-man from Great Britain, their #1 team, the driver Sean Olsen, they're in second place after one run, a 52.77 in the first.
He was the first man off the race in the first heat. He's the last man in this heat 483 start. He's working with a deficient track as compared to the first run yesterday, or first run on the first part of the competition. We got a skid there all over the track. Uh-oh.
The Brits haven't won a medal since 1964. And Sean Olsen, a British Special Forces agent, could be heading to Iraq right after the Olympics.
With that mistake he just made at the start, he might want to head to Iraq right now. The sled was skidding, didn't get any kind of a start time that he wanted, and he has fallen considerably off the pace. He's all over. He's not even at the graveyard yet.
Pinballing and looping his way down the track.
No type of speed. Through 12, pretty clean line.
This is going to help Shimer.
Going up and down. It's going to be real close. I think he's going to fall in the 4th or 5th, though.
53.58.
There's 3 teams now tied for 3rd place. Unbelievable.
The Americans' medal hopes are still alive. Here's Ellen Weinberg with Steve Majorca.
Coach, you guys are in a perfect position to medal here.
Well, I think this is where we want to be. We're not too far out of silver, and we're tied for the bronze 3-way tie. So, but hopefully you can congratulate me after this, and we break that 40-something-year slump without medals. But it's going to take a good push from Brian to drive the best drive you can go down there.
The standings after 2 runs, Christoph Langen and Germany #2 all alone up top. But look at the bottom, 4 teams still with the chance. Brian Shimer and the United States medal hopes still alive.
And in 4